Hello everybody, this is Greg Clevin, host of Sun on Sports, and Nick Clark to my left, John Sherman to my right. We'll discuss the section girls basketball playoffs which are underway.
The top half of the bracket, Hopkins won easily in their matchup, and then in the on the other game, Wayzata beat Minnetonka by 19 in the was that 4-5?
4-5 matchup.
Yeah.
It was 60-41 for Wayzata,
Yeah.
and as always, Kate Thompson, the 6'3" point guard, dominated the game. I think what we're going to see in the ironically, Hopkins is the #1 seed in that section. They'll have a tougher matchup in the semifinals than the #2 seed.
Yep.
South has Southwest, which is a hot team right now, but talent-wise, Southwest is not on the same floor with South. In the other matchup, Wayzata can give Hopkins some trouble. Even though Hopkins is the #1 seed, they're the probably one of the top teams in the state for sure. But that'll be a good matchup. I think Wayzata with Kate Thompson poses some interesting problems for Hopkins.
Yeah, she's a tough matchup any way you look at it. She can shoot on the perimeter. She's as tall as any girl in high school basketball right now. I think she's 6'1", 6'1", somewhere in there, 6'2" even maybe. She's going to Michigan next year on a Division I scholarship. I mean, she's a legitimate basketball player, and she can go inside, she can go outside, and she can handle the ball. She brings up the floor for them when they need her to. And she can pass, and she's on a team that has really improved as this season has gone along. Head coach Chris Jones has really done a nice job getting these girls to peak right now. I noticed a couple weeks ago they lost by just a single point to Hopkins. I think that was 51-50 that night. And since then, Wayzata has really been playing well. And you're right, this is going to be an interesting matchup. And it's on a neutral court floor. These two games will be played at noon and 2 o'clock this Saturday at Osseo High School, which is a nice-sized gym. Not that plays any difference in it, but it can be able to hold some fans, and a lot of fans that were looking forward to what was going to be a dynamite Final Four. As it turns out, you know, with Armstrong losing that second game might be a bit of a snoozer with what South is capable of. But that first game, Hopkins and Wayzata, is going to be as good as any semifinal game we see next week in girls basketball.
Sure would like to see that championship game featuring Hopkins and South. I saw that game last year up at Osseo. South pulled it out, but it was a real dogfight, and more of the same this year.
Yeah.
Taylor Hill, of course, wants to go back to state tournament and prove herself, go out as a state champion. Hopkins wants the same thing for their seniors, so it'll be interesting.
And they've played twice this year and split, am I right?
They've split in both, low double-figure victories,
Yeah.
and it just depends on who's hot on that given night and how much Hopkins could slow down Taylor Hill, which is not easy.
Does Hopkins have any all-state caliber players? Or
Hopkins' best player is Kara Ellefson, senior guard. She's very good, but Hopkins' strength is that they go 10 or 11 deep. All the girls can play. There's some height. There's a lot of quickness. Just a very good overall team. They've got 2 scholarship players, Ellefson and Jasmine Mendez, and then they have a junior center who's going to get a scholarship somewhere too, Hannah Potter. She'll be going on to D1 or D2, I'm sure, probably D1. And Hopkins is just a very well-balanced team. The sophomore point guard, Rihanna Williams, is a star in the making right now. She had 25 points one game last week, and she's really coming on too.
And they have Brian Cosgriff as well, and it should be noted, Brian, the head coach at Hopkins, is when it comes to X's and O's, there's nobody better, and he really has an unbelievable working relationship with his teams, and they really like to play for him. And there's an awful lot of respect on that bench for the head coach. And over the years, I mean, he's done a tremendous job with the program. And look where they are again this year. You know, right up with a chance, legitimate chance at winning a state championship.
I think this is really a well-coached section from top to bottom.
Yep.
You've got Brian Cosgriff. You've got Emil Jihad at Minneapolis South. You've got Chris Jones, obviously many years of winning basketball behind her as the Wayzata head coach. You've got some other great coaches in there.
Antoine Easley at Armstrong, who's done a tremendous job in having them in a position, and it was unfortunate they aren't going to get that shot, but I mean, he's still when they look back and sit down at this year, look back at some of the things they accomplished. Second place in the Classic Lake Conference, beating Hopkins this year for the first time in I think it was like 6 years. And they had a 22-21 win season. I mean, those just don't come every year. You got to appreciate them, as they come.
As good as any section in the state, Nick?
It was, yeah, it was. I really think so. At that level, there's section, I think it's Class 3A, Section 6 or Section 5. At the top of my head, I don't remember. But it's De La Salle, Waconia, and Orono are all top 10 teams, and they're in that field. And Minneapolis North as well is in that field, and I think they were 11th or 12th, right on the fringe of the top 10 at the end of the regular season. That's a dynamite section as well, but in terms of overall top-end talent, yeah, Section 6 was as good as it's going to get this winter.
Like the old pro wrestling announcer Marty O'Neill used to say, get your tickets early, because some of these gyms have limited seating, and I tell you what, I've seen a resurgence of people coming back to these arenas and stuff. I think in this time of gloomy economy, you can afford some of these section games and stuff. The high school, it's a pretty good bargain. Free programs, free parking most of the times, except for some of the state and section meets.
And the $6 to watch these girls and boys go out and play as hard as they
double header besides
pales in comparison to the whatever you pay to get in the Target Center to watch that show. Which
not only that, you're very close to the action at these high school games. You can really feel a part of it, and that's what I like about high school sports. You're not up in section 213. You're right down there by the court or by the ice, and it's just a tremendous experience, especially if you have a stake in your local team and you have that community pride. This is the place to be.
Not only that, but the fans attending these games, if they happen to see John walking down by the gym floor and Nick, they can stop. They'll sign autographs, they'll chat, they'll do almost anything. They just love to talk.
We'll autograph anything but a check.
Yeah, on just one note, if you're sitting in section 213 and watching Timberwolves right now, you are by yourself. There's nobody up in those reaches these days in Minneapolis.
Well, that'll do her for this segment on Sun on Sports, and thanks for watching.